Last spring, I walked into a Dollar Tree with a $15 bill and walked out with everything I needed to start a real food garden. Seeds, containers, soil scoops, even a watering setup. Total cost, $15, and I still got change back. Here's the thing. Most folks think you need $100 in supplies and a backyard before you can grow a single tomato. You don't. You need a window, a few cheap items, and about 10 minutes a day. I'm going to walk you through every single item I bought and exactly how I used each one in 5 simple steps. And stick around to the end, because there's one item in that store almost nobody buys for gardening that saved my seedlings from damping off all season. Let me show you the receipt because the numbers matter here. I bought 11 items, every single one of them $1.25. Do the math, and that comes to $13.75. From a $15 bill, that left me $1.25 in change, which, funny enough, is exactly enough for one more item if I'd wanted it. Here's the thing. Most folks never even get this far because they've got it in their heads that gardening means a backyard, a truckload of fancy gear, and somewhere north of $100 before a single seed goes in the ground. So they wait. They wait for the house with the yard. They wait for the budget, and the garden never happens. I did the opposite. I grabbed a basket and I worked the aisles. And I'm going to walk you through all of it in 5 simple steps, one Dollar Tree item category at a time. Step 1 is the seeds. Step 2 is the containers. Step 3 is the soil and a little scoop. Step 4 is the watering setup. And step 5 ties it all together with a humidity dome and some labels. Then, like I promised, I'll show you that one item from the spice aisle that almost nobody buys for gardening and how it saved my seedlings from damping off all season long. Step 1. The seeds. I bought packets of the most forgiving crops I could find because the whole point is to win early, not to test your patience on something fussy. I grabbed loose-leaf lettuce, bush beans, green onions, and basil. Those 4 are about as beginner-proof as it gets, and at $1.25 a packet, you get more seeds than you'll know what to do with. Now here's where the depth matters, and it's the number one place new growers go wrong. They bury seeds too deep. A good rule is to plant a seed about 2 to 3 times as deep as it is wide. So my lettuce went in 1/4 inch down, just barely covered. My beans, which are big and round, went in a full inch deep. Bury that lettuce an inch down like the beans, and it'll run out of energy before it ever reaches daylight, and you'll swear the seeds were duds. They weren't. You drown them in soil, get the depth right, and you'll see sprouts in 7 to 10 days. This whole thing started for me with seeds I didn't even buy. Back in 2010, in my Portland apartment, I tossed some green onion root ends in a glass of water on the counter and forgot about them. A week later, there were 3 inches of green tops standing up out of that glass. I cooked with them that night, and I felt like I'd found something everybody had been hiding from me. That's the moment that got me here. Step 2. The containers. For this, I grabbed a stack of foam cups and a couple of clear plastic shoe boxes, all of it $1.25 each. The foam cups are perfect for starting individual plants, and the clear shoeboxes work as little trays for a whole row of seedlings. But before you put one speck of soil in either of them, you've got to give that water somewhere to go. I take an ordinary pencil and poke 4 or 5 drainage holes right through the bottom of each cup, and the same in the base of the shoebox. This is not optional. The biggest killer of container plants is no drainage. Water pools at the bottom, the roots sit in it, and inside of a week they rot out from under the plant. You'll never see it happen. You'll just notice everything wilting and wonder why. Poke the holes. For greens like lettuce and basil, I fill the cups 3 to 4 inches deep with soil, which is plenty of room for those shallow roots to spread and anchor. Gloria, my old neighbor from my San Francisco days, has a saying I think about every time I set up a batch of these. She says you don't need a yard, you need a window. She grew tomatoes, basil, ginger, and bok choy on a balcony for over 20 years in containers no fancier than what I just described. Get the drainage right and the depth right. And your roots come in white and healthy instead of brown and mushy. Step 3. The soil and the scoop. I picked up a bag of basic potting mix and a little kitchen measuring scoop, $1.25 a piece. Here's the trick most people skip, and it's the difference between soil that works and soil that fights you. You moisten the mix before you fill anything. Potting mix straight out of the bag is bone dry and dusty, and dry mix is stubborn. Pour water on top of a dry-filled cup, and it beads up and runs right off the surface and out the drainage holes without ever soaking in. So I dump some mix into a bowl, add water a little at a time, and work it with my hands until it feels like a wrung-out sponge. Damp, not soggy. You should be able to squeeze a handful and get maybe a drop or two, not a stream. Then, I use that scoop to fill my cups and shoeboxes, tapping each one gently on the table so the soil settles even, with no big air pockets. That little scoop also keeps the whole operation clean enough to do on a kitchen counter, which matters when your garden lives indoors. Out here in Sacramento, I run most of my starts on a south-facing windowsill, where they catch the most hours of light through the day. Pre-moisten your mix, and you get an even, settled bed that drinks water instead of shedding it. Step 4. The watering setup. This was 2 items for me, both $1.25, a simple spray bottle and a shallow dish. When seeds are freshly sown sitting just under a 1/4 inch of soil, the worst thing you can do is hit them with a heavy stream from a cup or a faucet. That stream blasts the seeds right out of position, washes them into a clump in one corner, and packs the soil down so hard the sprouts can't push through. So for the first stretch, I mist. I take that spray bottle and give the surface a gentle, even misting once or twice a day, just enough to keep the top layer damp. It's the lightest touch in the whole process, and it protects everything you set up in the first 3 steps. Then, once the roots get going and the seedlings are standing up on their own, I switch to the shallow dish. I set the cup right in the dish, pour a little water into the dish, and let the soil pull moisture up through those drainage holes from the bottom. That's bottom watering, and it pulls the roots downward, which makes for a stronger plant. Mist early, bottom water later, and you give your seedlings steady moisture without ever knocking them flat. Step 5. The humidity dome and the labels. Remember those clear plastic shoe boxes from Step 2. They come with lids, and that lid is a free greenhouse. After I sow and mist, I set the clear lid over the top, and it traps warmth and moisture inside, which speeds up germination noticeably. Seeds that might have taken 10 days under open air will often pop in 7 under that dome. But here's the part you cannot forget. The moment you see green breaking the surface, you've got to vent that lid, prop it open a crack, or pull it off entirely once the sprouts are established. Leave it sealed shut over living seedlings, and all that trapped moisture turns into a breeding ground for mold and the very fungus that flops seedlings over at the soil line. The other half of this step is labels. I grabbed a pack of wooden popsicle sticks, $1.25, and I write the crop and the date on each one and push it into the soil. Sounds small, but 2 weeks in, lettuce and basil sprouts look almost identical, and you will not remember which cup is which. Trust me on that. Dome them to speed things up, vent them the day they sprout, label everything, and you end up with fast, organized, healthy seedlings, and about 10 minutes a day of attention is all it takes to keep them happy. Now, if turning a stack of foam cups and a bag of potting mix into real food is starting to click for you, and you're ready to turn this from one experiment into a full system, I laid the whole thing out in my book, The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. It's $17 over at backyardbuddybooks.com. Chapter 4 is all about container gardening on a zero budget, the exact kind of cheap, repurposed container growing we're doing here. It's got cross-section diagrams showing how to layer soil and set up drainage, and it walks you through my $3 bag of potatoes turning into a season's worth of food. If you're watching on your TV, go ahead and grab your phone and point it at the QR code on screen. No rush, take a second to find it and pull it up. I'll wait right here. And if you're on your phone or laptop already, the link's down in the description. All right, let's keep going. Now, before you set a single cup on the windowsill, let me save you from the 3 mistakes I see new Dollar Tree gardeners make over and over. The first one is the easiest to make and the deadliest. Skipping the drainage holes. Those foam cups in clear shoeboxes hold water like a bucket, and if you forget to poke them, the water pools at the bottom and your roots rot out within a week. I've watched a tray of healthy lettuce turn to mush in 7 days from this alone. The fix is the 4 or 5 pencil holes I showed you back in step 2. Don't skip it. The second mistake is overcrowding. The seeds are cheap, the packets feel generous, so folks dump 20 into 1 cup and figure more is better. It isn't. Those seedlings end up fighting each other for light and water. They grow thin and spindly, and your usable harvest drops by more than half. Thin them down to 1 strong seedling per cup, or 1 every few inches, and snip the rest at the soil line. I know it feels wrong to cut a healthy sprout. Do it anyway. The third mistake is leaving that clear shoebox lid sealed shut after the sprouts come up. I get it, the dome worked, things are growing. So why touch it? But once green shows, that trapped moisture turns into a warm, damp pocket that invites the exact fungus we're trying to avoid. The moment you see sprouts, crack the lid or pull it off entirely. That's it. 3 mistakes, 3 one-second fixes. All right, here's the one I promised you back at the start. I told you there was one item in that store almost nobody buys for gardening, the thing that saved my seedlings from damping off all season. It's a 125 bottle of ground cinnamon from the spice aisle. That's it. Plain ground cinnamon. Here's what I do. Right after I sow my seeds and cover them, I dust a thin, even layer of cinnamon across the soil surface, about a 1/4 teaspoon per cup-sized container, just enough to lightly coat the top. Then, after the first heavy watering, when some of it has rinsed down, I add 1 more light dusting. Now, here's why it works. Cinnamon has natural antifungal compounds in it, and they suppress the soil-borne fungus that causes damping off. If you've never had it, damping off is that heartbreaker where a perfectly healthy seedling suddenly flops over and rots right at the soil line, overnight, for no reason you can see. 1 year, I lost an entire tray of lettuce seedlings to it before I knew what was happening. 40 little plants, gone in 2 days. Gloria's the one who told me about the cinnamon trick, and since the season I started doing it, I haven't lost a single tray to damping off. A 1/4 teaspoon of a $1 spice, that's the whole secret. And if today showed you what $15 in a windowsill can really do, the next step is figuring out your full windowsill setup. And that's exactly what Chapter 3 of my book walks you through. It's the guide I wish I'd had when I was killing tomato plants in my Portland apartment. Chapter 3, the windowsill setup, lays out a complete zero-investment station and the 5 easiest scraps to start with. So even if you've failed before, even if you're sure you've got no space and no green thumb, you've got a clear path. It's $17 over at backyardbuddybooks.com. If you're on the big screen, point your phone at the QR code now. Take your time finding it. I'm in no hurry. And if you're on your phone already, the link is right there in the description. So that's how I started a real food garden for $13.75, change still in my pocket, from nothing but a window, and about 10 minutes a day. Everything I grow on this channel comes back to that same idea, growing real food cheap, with no yard required. If this got you going, the natural next thing to try is regrowing kitchen scraps you'd normally throw out, because that's free food on top of free food. Pick 1 container this week, plant 1 seed, and drop a comment telling me which one you tried. Until next time, keep growing your own food, my friend.